Peace YouTube, my name is Nia and I'm coming to you from Inwood, Manhattan, better known as, some people know it as Washington Heights, some people may know it as the Bronx if they don't know that Manhattan comes up this far, but it's roughly around 207th Street in Manhattan to, I guess you can say 20th Street, I believe. So, I was motivated to create this video as a result of an event that took place this morning. This morning around 5:30, I was woken up by 5 to 10 gunshots, sirens, helicopters, just everything that you don't want to be woken up by at 5:30 in the morning. But yes, this took place, and at the time I couldn't figure out what was going on because I didn't have any view of what was happening. But later on in the morning, I found out that a young man by the name of Emmanuel Paulino was in a standoff with police officers and was shot and killed. Now, in reading the several different articles they have online, there's discrepancies in the story that is natural to happen because different eyewitness account, but the end result is this young man dying, this young man losing his life because he had a knife out. Now, from what I read in these articles, there was several police officers arrived at the scene. I don't know, might have been 2, but from what I read, there were hundreds of police officers. It sounded like 100 police officers responded to this to handle this one young man with one knife. So this young man now is no longer here, no longer on the planet because of him wielding a knife at police officers. Now, it's my strong belief that the reason why we pay our taxes to have police officers here is to serve and protect. They handle the situation in a way that maybe normal people, normal, regular, average civilians possibly might not handle it with that kind of special need. We might see someone with a gun and shoot to kill, but we expect that the police officers take certain things into account that we wouldn't. And in this situation, I just feel like police officers did not do that at all. That the result of this young man being shot and killed by more than one police officer by having a knife that wasn't particularly aimed at or used on anyone, but just by waving a knife, wielding a knife, by being shot and killed, there's something wrong with that. As I read one particular New York Post article, I'm not a fan of Post, but as I read one New York Post article, it said that this young man, a family friend said that this young man was suffering from a deep depression compounded with his joblessness. Now, that's not excusing his behavior, but it is taking into account certain facts that might have caused him to react the way he did. I mean, I don't think anybody who was at stable condition would walk around with a knife just yelling, screaming, and wielding it at a police officer. There's something not right with that. And because there's obviously something not right with that, there is a way to handle that situation. The same way that if it was a mentally challenged, a person with a mental disability, the same way we would take that into account in a situation, I would assume that a police officer would have done the same in this situation. But that wasn't the case, and there's something wrong with that. Now, the purpose of this video is not to sit around and bash the police. I can't really, it's not to bash the police, but it is necessary, right? If we are expecting them to protect people, that they use the protocol that they were trained to use. I mean, why else are we paying them? Why else are they being used? If they're not going to execute the things that they were trained to do, not to remove the system or to remove the force, but the reality is that someone needs to be able to analyze and monitor whether or not that they use proper or improper force. And in this case, the police officers use excessive force on this young man. For him to have a knife and to be killed by guns, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, they say don't bring a knife to a gunfight, but something must not be right in your head for you to be wielding a gun. I mean, a knife or a gun or any weapon. So, what's to be said? I know a lot of young people feel like, there's nothing that we can do. The police officer the police are a force that no one can tackle. They're their own gang. They have their own system, and no one can go against that, and no one can question it. But the reality is, if we are paying them, if they're 911 operators hired because we feel comfortable and we feel that that police officers would take care of a situation, then we should also have the same right to question and analyze whether the tactics that they use on situations around the city are proper. This case is not. That's why it's under investigation. So I suppose I said this maybe to bring it to light to people who might not be aware, and maybe to bring about a discussion on, is there really a way that young people can handle this, older people can handle this, so that the results are not as dire as the one that took place today on October 3rd, where Emmanuel Paulino is no longer present. I don't know. Thank you, YouTube. I hope that this was received in love and light. And thank you. Take care.